Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 5th chapter, text 16. Oh, you don't have the internet.
Oh, actually, first canto is
You can also go to my room.
I think it's in the first part.
1:5:16. Vichakshano syarhati veritum vibor anantaparasya nivartita sukham pravartma manasya gunairanatmanas tato bhavan darshana chestitam vibhu
Vichakshana sharhati viditum vibor
Vichakshano syarhani viditum vibur
Ananta parasya nivartita sukham
Ananta parasya nivartita sukham
Pravarta manasya gunair anatmanas
Pravarta manasya gunairanatmanas
Tato bhavan darshaya chistitam vibho
Tato bhavan darshaya cheshtitam vibho Vichakshano syarhati viditum vibur Ananta parasya nivartita sukham Pravarta manasya gunairatmanas Tato bhavan darshaya chishtitam vibho Vichakshana, very expert. Asya, of him. Arhati, deserves. Veritum, to understand. Vibho, of the Lord. Ananta parasya, of the unlimited. Nivartita, retired from. Sukham, material happiness. Pravarta manasya, those who are attached to. Gunai, by the material qualities. Anatmanaha, devoid of knowledge and spiritual value. Ataha, therefore. Bhavan, your goodness. Darshaya, show the ways. Cheshtitam, activities. Vibho, of the Lord. Translation. The Supreme Lord is unlimited. Only a very expert personality, retired from the activities of material happiness, deserves to understand his knowledge of spiritual values. Therefore, those who are not so well situated due to material attachment should be shown the ways of transcendental realization by your goodness through descriptions of the transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Theological science is a difficult subject, especially when it deals with the transcendental nature of God. It is not a subject matter to be understood by persons who are too much attached to material activities. Only the very expert who have almost retired from materialistic activities by culture or spiritual knowledge can be admitted to the study of this great science. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that out of many hundreds and thousands of men, only one person deserves to enter into transcendental realization. And out of many thousands of such transcendently realized persons, only a few can understand the theological science, specifically dealing with God as a person. Sri Vyasadeva is therefore advised by Narada to describe the science of God directly by relating his transcendental activities. Vyasadeva is himself a personality expert in this science, and he is unattached to material enjoyment. Therefore, he is the right person to describe it, and Shukara Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, is the right person to receive it. Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost theological science, and therefore it can react on the layman as medicinal doses. Because it contains the transcendental activities of the Lord, there is no difference between the Lord and the literature. The literature is the factual literary incarnation of the Lord. So the layman can hear the narration of the activities of the Lord. Thereby, they are able to associate with the Lord and thus gradually become purified from material diseases. The expert devotees also can discover novel ways and means to convert the non-devotees in terms of particular time and circumstance. Devotional service is dynamic activity, and the expert devotees can find out competent means to inject it into the dull brains of the materialistic population. Such transcendental activities of the devotees for the service of the Lord can bring a new order of life to the foolish society of materialistic man. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his subsequent followers exhibited expert dexterity in this connection. By following the same method, one can bring the materialistic man of this age of quarrel into order for peaceful life and transcendental realization. Om Agyan Dharinandasya Jnana Jana Shalakyam Chakshunamritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master is divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who has opened my darkened eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto his lotus feet. Jai Srila Prabhupada. So, this is a portion when Srila Vyasadeva, the author of all Vedic literatures, is lamenting. He feels unsatisfied in the heart. And when this happens, his spiritual master, Srila Narada Muni, appears to guide him, to instruct him. And one of the first things Srila Narada tells Srila Vyasadeva is that you have simply encouraged people in materialism by writing all these Vedas. So it is not that the Vedas are confusing or misguiding. It's not that Srila Narada Muni is blaspheming the Vedas. Every day we recite these 10 offenses. One of them is to blaspheme the Vedic literatures. But Srila Prabhupada explains in the previous purport that, for example, in the case of people who existed prior to the appearance of Lord Buddha, there was a misunderstanding of the purpose of the Vedas. This usually happens when the Vedic knowledge is not received from the bona fide spiritual master. The knowledge is there, the Veda is there, but the spiritual master makes sure that people understand the essence of the Vedas and they do not become diverted by the flowery language of the Vedas, by the of course the Vedas are non-dogmatic, so they give a process to all classes of men. For example, if someone wants to eat meat, then he is encouraged to sacrifice the animal and offer to Goddess Kali. Or if someone is a drunkard, then he can offer the alcohol to Chandi and drink like that. And similarly, if someone wants to engage in sex life, then there is marriage. Marriage is recommended by the Vedas. You marry, live like a gentleman. But these are all simply to curb down the lusty desires of the conditioned souls. Instead of forcibly suppressing, the Vedas, they acknowledge that people are fallen and most of them will not be able to follow the path of Nivati Marga. There are two margas, two paths recommended in the Vedas. Pravati Marga and Nivati Marga. So this regulated sense gratification is called Pravati Marga. Now you want to do nonsense, okay, what can be done? At least do it in a way that you don't become implicated. Or of course, you become implicated, but it is not so bad as without any authorization of the Vedic scriptures. So that is Pravati Marg. And Nivati Marg means this Krishna consciousness. How to come to the pure devotional service, Nivati Marga, renunciation, renounced material happiness. Here it is mentioned that only an expert devotee who is not interested in material happiness, he is retired from the activities of material happiness. Only he deserves to understand his knowledge of spiritual values, the Srimad Bhagavatam. So sometimes this Pravati Marg and Nivati Marg, they become confused. And that's the whole problem. They become people, they confuse one with the other. In 126, Prabhupada talks about this very nicely. Savai Pamsha Pura. Savai Pamsha Parodharma. Yato Bhakti Radoksaje. Ai tu kiya pratyata yatma suprasidati. You cannot be satisfied in the heart unless you fully surrender to Krishna. The supreme occupation dharma for all humanity is that by which man can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. See, Srila Vyasadeva himself was not satisfied in the self. Even he himself was not satisfied in the self. So then Narada Muni, he said, you must delineate the pastimes of Krishna. You must describe the pastimes and devotional service, pure devotional service. You did not put enough emphasis. And that is why you've encouraged people in the activities of the gross body and the subtle mind, materialistic activities. Prabhupada writes in the purport, the Vedas prescribe two different types of occupation for the human being. One is called the Pravati Marga, or the path of sense enjoyment, and the other is called the Nivati Marga, or the path of renunciation. The path of enjoyment is inferior, and the path of sacrifice for the supreme cause is superior. The material existence of the living being is a diseased condition of actual life. Actual life is spiritual existence or Brahmabhuta existence, where life is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. Material existence is temporary, illusory, and full of miseries. There is no happiness at all. There is just a futile attempt to get rid of the miseries, and temporary cessation of misery is falsely called happiness. Therefore, the path of progressive material enjoyment, which is temporary, miserable, and illusory, is inferior. But devotional service to the Supreme Lord, which leads one to eternal, blissful, and all-cognizant life, is called the superior quality of occupation. This is sometimes polluted when mixed with the inferior quality. So sometimes they become mixed up. Pravati marg, nivati marg. In other words, one thinks that, oh, this is devotional service, while he's performing completely materialistic activity. And vice versa, he misunderstands devotional service to be another form of materialistic activity. These two types of confusion are going on. For example, Prabhupada writes, adoption of devotional service for material gain is certainly an obstruction to the progressive path of renunciation. Renunciation or abnegation for ultimate good is certainly a better occupation than enjoyment in the diseased condition of life. Such enjoyment only aggravates the symptoms of disease and increases its duration. So, for example, as we mentioned before, in the case of Lord Buddha, these people who lived at that time, they were using the Vedic injunctions to justify complete sense gratification. Very brutal activity, killing animals and eating them. They were trying to justify it by using the Vedic quotes. The Vedas, of course, prescribe regulated animal sacrifice, but certain conditions apply, and it is not for eating. It is not for eating. The animals, they are sacrificed while the yajna is going on, just to test the mantra. Whether the mantra is chanted properly. If it's chanted properly, then the animal will come out with a new life, new body. That is the sign that a mantra was chanted properly. The Brahmanas, they would be so expert in chanting the mantras, they could make a new body. So, but by the degradation, by the influence of age of Kali, Sakalanya Mata Yuga Nashta Parantapa, the disciplic succession was interrupted. And that is why people started using the Vedas to justify sense gratification. So, now, similar thing was going on during the lifetime of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, our great Acharya, predecessor Acharya. There were many of these deviant groups posing as Vaishnavas, and it is still going on. It is still going on. They would organize this Bhagavat Saptah in the imitation of the sages of Naimisharanya and in the imitation of Maharaj Parikshit and Shukar Goswami. They organize these 7-day festivals where the Bhagavatam is read. Simply, they read the Bhagavatam. And they're very expert in jumping to the most confidential portions of the Bhagavatam, the Rasa Lila. And people, they want to hear that because they're very lusty. So they think that, oh, these pastime also, this is a mundane description of lusty affairs between young girl and young boy, Radha and Krishna. They think like that. So, for that reason, Prabhupada writes here that only a person who is very expert, he can understand or he can be admitted to the study of this science. No question of any material happiness, seeking sexual satisfaction is completely absent in the heart of such a devotee. All these desires. Anya bilasita shunyam gana karmani anubhutam. Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam Bhakti Rutama. This is the definition of pure devotional service. No karma, no desire for karma, no desire for jnana. Simply bhakti, simply devotional service. So only such a person can be admitted to the study. He can really study. We also study the Srimad Bhagavatam, but we're not so expert, so we don't understand fully. That is why we must very strictly follow the order of the spiritual master. That is our only qualification. The conditioned souls, they have no other qualification. Conditioned soul means simply exploiting the resources of material nature. That is the occupation of a condition. So simply exploitation, jiva sa jiva jivanam. He is enjoying at the expense of other living entities, either humans or animals or insects or plants. That is a conditioned soul. So if he doesn't follow the instruction of the spiritual master, he has no good qualities. And when he follows the instruction of the spiritual master, then there is a future hope that he's going to come out of this diseased condition of life and become purified devotee, pure devotee. But otherwise, it is not possible. So, the spiritual master must be therefore, initiating spiritual master, must be therefore situated on the topmost platform of devotional service. Expert means perfect. Expert doesn't mean beginner. And that initiating spiritual master, Prabhupada says here, he is very expert in discovering novel ways. Novel means new. New ways and means to convert the non-devotees in terms of particular time and circumstances. He can do that because he has perfect realization of Krishna conscious philosophy based on the Shastra. It is not that he has to learn all the Shastra by heart, like a machine. We have a computer, we have a database, then you can do that. Doesn't mean that a database is a guru. A computer, you can get guidance from a guru. No. Must be realized. In order to give guidance according to time, places, he must be realized. Realized means that even if the circumstances change, they do not lose their sense of Krishna consciousness. Because we're conditioned by the modes of material nature. When the material circumstances change, our Krishna consciousness becomes, interrupted or confused. We lose touch. It takes some time to revive it. Because we're conditioned souls. We're more attached to material sense gratification than spiritual realization. So for that reason, we must very strictly follow that spiritual master, because the spiritual master, he sets a particular discipline for a particular time period. For example, it is stated in the Brihad Naradiya Purana, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kivalam, kalo nasti, eva nasti, eva nasti, eva gati, anyata. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way of self-realization in this fallen age of Kali, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. See, there are different ages. This is the age of Kali. And in this age of Kali, the only way of self-realization is the chanting of the holy name of Hari, the holy name of God. Prior to that, the process was different. Temple worship, sacrifice, meditation. As the ages progress, the Yuga Dharma, the prescribed method of self-realization, also changes. So, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he inaugurated this Sankirtan Yuga Dharma process. The Brihad Naradiya Purana was always there. The Vedic injunction to chant Hare Krishna was always there. But only when Lord Chaitanya showed that now we're going to follow this, only then people could understand. So this is the duty of the Diksha Guru. And he points out, yes, now times have changed. In consultation with the Super Soul, with Krishna, you cannot speculate, now time have changed. You have no idea why your imperfect knowledge. Unless Krishna gives permission, you cannot become a guru. Say Kalanaya Mata, Yoganashta Parantapa. How the disciplic succession is broken? By the influence of time, Kala. Even if you have a very perfect arrangement, because we're subjected to the time factor, even that great arrangement gradually becomes deteriorated. So there is a need to revive the disciplic succession periodically. That's why these gurus, they come to teach us. Just according to time, place, and circumstances. Point out, we're going to follow this now. This is relevant. This method, don't waste time. It will not be successful. Meditation, sacrifice, even deity worship. Don't put so much emphasis on it. Chant Hare Krishna. So, the pure devotee, Uttamadikari, also the definition is that he is very expert in studying the Shastra. He has some realization. When he speaks, he can back up everything from the Shastra. Madhyamadikari, even he is liberated, he cannot do that perfectly. Although he has firm faith in the injunction of the Shastra, he is not so expert quoting, supporting his realization. And Kaneshtarikari, neither he has any faith, a little faith he has, but very little. And he has no knowledge of the Shastra. He has no incentive to study because, as I said before, he's more interested in material benefit than spiritual credit, spiritual realization. So for him, he's thinking, why should I read this? About some Krishna, about some pastimes. What is the benefit? How do I get money? Show me some Vedic injunctions, some mantras, where chant some mantra and money appears. This is what he's interested in. So sometimes he deviates from his devotional service on account of his materialistic motivations. So he must hear from a pure devotee. The pure devotee is always bringing him back to reality. Now, everything in the material, all this material happiness is illusory. You cannot enjoy. You are eternal and everything else is temporary here in this material world. So how can you enjoy? You cannot enjoy. Your enjoyment is simply, as Prabhupada says, cessation, momentarily. The sufferings, they cease and you think, oh, I'm so happy. But that is not happiness. Happiness must be positive. If I say, oh, you should be happy because I didn't kill you, you're not going to be jumping out of joy, right? Oh, very nice. Thank you so much. It should be like that. Why should I kill? Why should you kill me? That is a standard situation, not killing. It is not happiness. So all our so-called materialistic happiness, everyone is searching. Oh, I'm hungry. Oh, so when I eat, oh, I'm happy. I want a partner. Oh, so then I find my beloved. So now I'm happy. Oh, very nice. See, all this simply, there's some misery, some suffering, some lacking. And then when we get it, we think, oh, I'm so happy. But that is not happiness. And more suffering is coming. Then the partner becomes a rascal, cheats on us or something. The food stuff, you overeat, you get indigestion. Then you have to take celery juice or something. So always the misery is there. So that is why we should study the Shastra to understand what is the real happiness. How to get liberated from this. How to understand that this material world is simply cheating us. All these material pleasures simply illusory. How not to get trapped. Even you might know, Krishna says, even man of intelligence, he can be degraded. One of the senses, if one of the senses gets diverted, then it can drag the man of intelligence, man of discrimination. So that's why we have to study the Shastra. But a pure devotee, he's very expert. All the Shastra becomes revealed to him. Yasyari vipara bhakti rachari vitata guru tasyata kajidai hiyartha prakashanti mahatmana. Prakashanti, everything revealed, Vedas revealed to such a person who has firm faith in Krishna and his spiritual master as well. So, where is this idea coming from? That a Kanishta he can be a Diksha Guru, he can accept disciples, he can be... See, because such an expert devotee, he is so expert, he's so pure. Why he has such a perfect understanding of the Shastra? Because his heart is completely pure. He can see very nicely the conclusion. We cannot see the conclusion because we are always diverted by material desires. Just like when you chant your japa. You chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. The mind is absorbed for some time, few seconds, and then whoosh, somewhere else. Again thinking of something material. So in the same way, we're reading the Shastra, but the mind cannot stick with the conclusion. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are his part and parcel. Serve him. No, we always speculate. Oh, maybe I can enjoy like this. The mind is constantly looking. Oh, how can I enjoy some sense gratification? Oh, is there any... Oh, here it says I can offer some ganja. Oh, Lord Shiva was smoking ganja. Maybe I can also smoke. Oh, this person, he offered to Chandi some alcohol. Maybe I can also. Oh, this person, illicit sex is allowed under such and such circumstances if I'm Shudra. Or maybe I should be a Shudra. See, always the mind is trying to make some adjustment. So along with reading, we must purify the mind. This chanting is very important. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It is a very, very powerful method of purification, this chanting. But of course, we must take it also very seriously. Use it properly, not misuse it. Don't take it as a formality. I must chant my rounds. Prabhupada one time he made a joke. He finished his 60 rounds and he told to Shuta Kirti, now I can do any damn nonsense and finish my 16 rounds. So, no. It's not like that. It's 16 rounds. When you finish your 16 rounds, your next 16 rounds begins. Because whatever you do after that will qualify you to chant or disqualify you to chant purely the next day. Because throughout the day we perform so many activities, right? And then the next day the mind is filled up with these impressions. So along with chanting, we must engage in the service of the Guru, cultivate service mentality, service attitude, engage in preaching work, sankirtan, everything. It's all required. Then you can chant purely. And when you chant purely, then the pure Siddhanta also comes from the Shastra. You can see very nicely. You can connect the dots very easily. You get all the guidance that is required. So this is the secret of the disciplic succession. Don't manufacture. Those who are not pure, don't manufacture. You simply follow. You can be guru, that's okay. Everybody can be guru. Smojag can be guru. If you repeat what the Diksha Guru says, you can be Shiksha Guru. You can instruct. But don't manufacture anything besides. See, every Diksha Guru, he gives some contribution. It must be there. Every Diksha Guru has a different means of preaching Krishna consciousness. Different. If you're not different, you're not a Diksha Guru. Diksha Guru is required. When the new presentation
is needed. Because people cannot understand the old one, the old system. So that is why Krishna authorizes another soul. Yes, now you explain again. In slightly different ways so people can assimilate. So, if you don't have any contribution, if you do not change, then you are a Shiksha Guru. Shiksha Guru means instructing on behalf of the Diksha Guru. On behalf. Just like in school. There is an author, he writes a book. And then in universities all around the world, there are instructors, teachers, teaching from that book, that one book, teachers in school. He is not the author, but he can teach, provided he strictly repeats what's in the book. If the teacher speaks his own opinion, immediately he is disqualified. He cannot teach that course. It's misguiding. Prabhupada even says such a person is not a Shiksha Guru, is not anything, he's a demon. One who contradicts the Acharya is a demon. So, yes, this is the whole secret. Why manufacture? Isn't that enough what Srila Prabhupada wrote? So many, you cannot read it in your lifetime. So many books. You can read, but you cannot understand in one lifetime everything. Oh, so much Siddhanta, so much knowledge Prabhupada gave. If you read the whole day and night, you will not be able to understand everything. So there is no need. So many books are distributed. Srila Prabhupada's books every day. So many devotees are distributing all around the world. So why confuse people with some other books, other Siddhantas? Why confuse them? There's no need. The one who is doing like that, he is spoiling. Instead of preaching on behalf, he is spoiling whatever the Guru has done. Srila Prabhupada says, if you cannot do better than me, at least you preserve what I have done. He said this. So if you cannot preach, at least please do not interfere with this Krishna consciousness movement. Be silent. Take monavrat. Monavrat means a person vows that he will not speak. So Srila Prabhupada says, yes, that is for the Mayavadis, because when they speak all nonsense. So better that they follow the monavrat. Better you be silent. Don't confuse. This pseudo-religion is the greatest enemy of the people. Because our relationship with God is the essence of everything, of our relationships, our society, relationships, everything. And if that is poisoned, polluted by inferior so-called speculation, then everything is confused. Everybody has to suffer. So that is why the Acharya speaks very harshly against pseudo-religionists, pseudo-spiritual masters, because they're the greatest enemies. All these calamities, all these degradations, everything. The root is disobedience to the tenets of the Shastra, or disobedience, or deriding the spiritual master, the authority of the spiritual master. The more you study, the more you understand this. How dangerous it is to disobey the spiritual master. Okay, so I'll stop here. Are there any questions? Everything clear? Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Hari 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 Boo. Namo Mr. Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutri Srimad Bhakti Vedam Sattva Namaste Saraswati Guru Varni Vichaji Name Vishesha Srimad Bhagavatam.